Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting the like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love, guys. Now today's first story comes from the German version of relationships. Has been translated and is from BZ Throwaway 6466 and says, my boyfriend, male 26, has a list of every financial expense / gift he's given me, female 25. I, female 25, have been with my boyfriend, male 26, for about 2 years. We're currently separated, but we're already thinking about moving in together. I found out today that my boyfriend has a list on his phone with all his expenses and gifts, along with their prices. He made a joke out of the blue and said that he spent exactly 26 euros on me on Valentine's Day. It irritated me a bit, and I didn't think anything of it, but unfortunately, he then said that if we broke up, I would owe him exactly 280 euros. I was shocked by what he said and that he meant it. He admitted that he wrote down every expense he made for me, saying he only did it because his ex-girlfriend had taken advantage of him. It's not like I'm taking advantage of him in any way. Quite the opposite. I work at a hospital and earn a very good salary. I mostly cover our dates, etc., and that's not a problem for me. What is a problem for me though, is that it seems like he sees things like gifts or snacks he gave me as something he can simply demand back. That honestly hurt me a lot. Has anyone had similar experiences and can give me advice on how to react? Is he really not joking about this? Because holy shit, the first thing, don't move in with him if this is the case. Gifts like with invisible price tags attached aren't gifts, are they? They're basically going to be loans he's never told you about and it's going to surprise you by the end. And I mean, 280 euros over 2 years. Bloody hell. And there's a huge red flag, and it's sad that he's been treated this way in the past, but still, he can't take it out on you. That he can't separate his past hurt from his current present, really. When you're not taking advantage of him. Little petty side of me, and I know it's not helpful, but the petty part of my brain jumped in and said, I'll be going through all my bank statements, finding all those meals that I paid for, splitting them and firing that cost right back. Another part of me is like, I wonder what other lists he's got on that phone. But a commenter says, does he seriously think you'd have to pay him back for gifts if you broke up? Wasn't that a joke? Opie says, unfortunately, he was serious about it. He wants the money he spends on gifts and other things back. If I were to act exactly the same way, I'd already be dealing with him in a 4-digit amount. Whew. Comment says, question. Did he only note down how much he spent on larger occasions, or did he also note down snacks, the occasional coffee, etc.? In the former, I don't find it alarming. I know many family members who generally note such expenses. For example, how much they received as a gift from XYZ person for their milestone birthday, and they can give back a corresponding amount on similar occasions. I do that sometimes too, and note it as an expense in my budget for the respective month. If the second option is yours, I find it extremely strange and worrying. I'll definitely follow up, and if in doubt, not accept anything as a gift until the matter is resolved. Otherwise, it's kind of like a temporary gift. If he's already planning this so he has something concrete to use against you in the event of a breakup, then he's probably not ready to really commit to someone yet. OP says, unfortunately, that means everything. Be it a bag of gummy bears or a coffee he bought me. So far, I've never received anything larger from him. It's often been limited to a bouquet of flowers and snacks, so it shocks me a lot. OP adds about her boyfriend's finances and says he's totally into the financial game. I wouldn't be surprised if he soon goes totally into it and demands everything back with interest. Commodore says I would tell him very clearly that he doesn't need to give me anything anymore. Gifts should be given out of love, not as a reward, and to bring joy to others. We don't even discuss the price. If you move in with him, he'll calculate how much electricity and water you've used, how much you eat, including weighing it, how much dish soap and toilet paper you use, fuel consumption and car wear and tear when he drives payroll for household help, when he tidied something up or cleaned something for you. And then at the end, there'd be the bill when you split up, with payment terms and interest or what. OP responds saying my birthday is next week and I've already told him I'll politely decline everything. The thing is, he suggested that because I consume more than he does, I should also pay more. I've always dismissed such comments as a bad joke, but he's serious. Commenter says if he's actually serious about it, I'd cold-bloodedly make a list. I read that you'd already be in the 4-figure range with him. Next time you're paying for your meal, just casually say, okay, now you're only about X amount of euros in the red in case of a breakup. And I would take that as an opportunity to talk to him about this topic, because what the fuck? His gifts are basically bonds that you have to pay back at some point. I've never heard of that before. Then he should just stop giving you presents and pay back the difference first. From then on, everyone pays for themselves. Everyone will only breathe the same number of breaths per day in your shared apartment, and you'll also need separate water and electricity meters. I'm truly sorry for phrasing this so sarcastically, but I find it incredibly disrespectful of your boyfriend. I understand his motives, but gifts are fucking optional, and you're not his ex. I hope you can clarify this. OP says I have dismissed his comments as bad, but now that I know that he means it seriously, I'm very shocked. I also do not understand why anyone would have expected anything in return for a gift. Someone questions if OP has given her boyfriend anything. OP says I've paid for almost all of his dates so far. Regularly give him attention without listing it, and when I think about the total, I'm already in the 4-figure range. He's just stingy and resentful when it comes to his ex. So, OP soon comes in with her update and says, I female 25, I've been with my boyfriend male 26 for about 2 years. In my previous post, I already described the entire situation. I have an update that probably explains the entire situation very well. I met up with my boyfriend at my house today. I brought up the topic again and asked him if I could take a look at the list. He refused several times and tried to distract me from the topic until I gave him a choice. Either he shows it to me and talks openly about it, or I break up with him. After that, he did show it to me, but I wasn't allowed to touch his phone or scroll through the list myself. He secured the list with Face ID, which I obviously found odd, but I didn't think anything of it at first. In any case, absolutely everything was written down on the list, from a bottle of water to bouquets of flowers. Everything he ever gave me or spent on during our entire relationship was written down there. After he closed the list and went on Instagram, however, I noticed that he had several lists on his phone. The different lists were named after different women. I thought about it for a moment and then confronted him and demanded that he give me his phone if he had nothing to hide from me. He then gave it to me and asked me not to be upset about what I would see there. What I found, there were 3 more lists named after the names of 3 other women, and they listed every expense my boyfriend had made for them. Things like shopping, underwear, and even restaurant visits were noted there. I knew immediately what was going on and told him I was breaking up with him and immediately kicked him out of my apartment. Apparently he cheated on me throughout our entire relationship. He admitted that he'd been seeing another woman regularly for a year, but he said it wasn't physical, which I didn't believe. I hope I've learned from this and will continue to look for these warning signs with my next partner. Thank you all so much for the advice. It really helped me a lot. Gee bloody whiz, I'm trying to picture that situation where they're sat there and he's got his phone and OP asks to see it, and he just turns around and goes, don't be upset by what you see here. It's just several women that I've been cheating on you with. What the fuck? Commenter says, one thing you can give your friend credit for is that he keeps track of his expenses. He probably also used r/finances. I can only imagine why this is being done to several women at the same time by looking at the cost/benefit analysis. OP says, I'm glad to finally know what was going on behind my back, but knowing that he spent several hundred euros on other women and made me feel as if he had the right to demand money back from me for his gifts was shocking. I was awake all night thinking about how to resolve the whole situation, and now I'm at least somewhat relieved, but also extremely sad. OP responds to a commenter that was downvoted regarding seeing her boyfriend's list and said, I didn't write down every little detail, but the whole thing wasn't resolved within 10 minutes. We discussed it for almost 2 hours. So he should show me the list and then I wanted to see the rest of the stuff. Afterwards he tried to convince me that they were just friends, which of course I didn't believe. He has been trying to contact me constantly via WhatsApp to convince me that it isn't the way I think it is, and now he's actually demanding money from me. Another commenter says he has tried to demand a refund from you now that you're broken up. OP says, unfortunately, yes. Cheeky bloody bastard. Imagine him saying that they're just friends. He's buying underwear for him. That's very normal, right? And obviously I wouldn't believe him that it wasn't physical as well. So I hope OP does get, checked out and all that good stuff, because who knows how many he's been doing it with, and who also knows if these other girls know about what he's been doing. It sounds like the other one, and perhaps more, are in the same position as OP is in right now. Ugh, dearie me. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And let's move on to another story. Now, our next story does have some trigger warnings on it. It's from the Am I Overreacting subreddit. It says invasion of privacy, possible child neglect, animal neglect, and mentions of animal death as well. It's got a mood spoiler on it of scary and frustrating, so if you do want to skip the story, please feel free to do so. Timestamps are always down in the description and along the timeline below. It's from Baby Bubbles, who says, am I overreacting? A little kid keeps coming into my house. I live out in the country, near a big main road and on a county road. I'm the closest property to the main road, but as you continue down, I have a couple of neighbors. We live on 40 acres and have a little farmhouse where I live with my husband and dogs, along with some farm animals outside. I do not have kids. We live a calm and peaceful life. However, there have now been 2 occasions on which a young child that lives a third of a mile down the road has come into our house uninvited. The first time I was home alone and had just showered, doing my nails and watching a show in my makeup room. Next thing I know, I see a small shadow, looked like a preschool aged kid, open my fence gate and open my front door. I had no idea who this was, and I FaceTimed my husband in case he knew who it could be. But as we checked the cameras, there were no cars or other adults around. I was in my underwear with my door closed and freaking out. Like I mentioned, I live out in the country, and due to my neighbors all being so far away, I had no idea who this kid was or where he came from. I put some pants on and went out into my living room, and this kid was running around my living room and kitchen, playing with my dogs without a care in the world. I tried to get him to calm down and asked him what his name was or where his parents were. Nothing. He ignored me and kept playing. After a couple of minutes, I think he got bored and he opened my door, went out the gate and ran out to the back of my house. I lost sight of him and kept looking towards the road in case I could figure out where he came from. Finally, I saw a young girl approaching from the neighbor's side of the road and she shouted at me, "Where is he?" I told her I had no idea where he was, but that I had seen him go towards the back of my house and she could go look for him. She looked annoyed, but I guess she was able to grab him at some point and took him back towards the direction of the neighbor's house. At that point, I was honestly super upset and yelled, "Keep that kid out of my property and out of my house." She just yelled, "Sorry," over her shoulder. No one ever came back to apologize. My husband eventually went to the family to ask what had happened and was told that they had been unloading groceries and the little boy had managed to run away. How they didn't realize this until so much later, I'm not sure. A year later, this little boy is now 5 or 6. I get a call from my husband while we're at work. He tells me there's this little boy in our house and that he came in through our dog door. Immediately, I asked if it's the same one as last time. He says he saw them on our cameras but can't be sure. He tells me that before calling me. He already called the cops and they're on their way. The footage shows this kid opening our closed fence gate and coming to our front door. Our dogs are barking at him in the yard. He attempts to open the front door, sees it's locked, knocks, and then just stands there thinking. Then he crawls through our dog door. Our dogs can go in and out of the house as they like since their fence is closed in, but I guess this kid figured he could do the same. He comes in, opens the dog door to make sure the dogs can come in too, takes off his shoes, jumps on my couch and plays with my dogs. After that, he turns on my TV, goes into my fridge, grabs ice pops and eats an orange from our fruit basket. He's in our house unsupervised for about 15 minutes until the cops arrive and get him out. He crawled out through the dog door. The cops ask him his name and where his parents are. He tells them. They tell him he is not allowed to do this, that it is not his house. A couple of minutes later, a car pulls into my driveway. It's the parents. The cops talk to them for a bit and they all leave. My husband had left work to get home, but by the time he got there, everyone was gone. The cops basically just said it was a kid being a kid. My husband then went down to the neighbors and told the parents to take care of their kid. I was upset because He didn't wait for me to go talk to them. He knew how upset I was. The dad apologized and said the boy had been grounded and snuck out through his bedroom window. Apparently, he just likes to play with my dogs. The dad told the little boy to apologize to my husband, at which point the boy spit at his dad. A week later, my husband got a call from the parents asking if, by chance, this kid was in our house again because they couldn't find him. We were both at work and didn't see him on any of our cameras. At this point, I've calmed down quite a bit, but as soon as I think about it again, I get mad again. I think it's insanely upsetting that I'm more aware of this little boy is than his own parents are. Once again, he's not right next door to me. He had to be unsupervised for at least 30 minutes to make his way to my house. About a 5-minute walk. Be here for 15 minutes and the cops arrived before his parents found him. He knows what he's doing. The parents are aware, but no one truly takes accountability for it. The little boy says he likes to play with my dog, but instead of playing with them in my yard, he comes in my house and makes himself at home. I feel bad for the cops, but I truly feel like there's a need to report this because I'm scared for my safety and that of my animals and property. If he were to leave the gate open, my dogs could run into the main road and get run over. My house is not childproofed at all. We had a flamethrower, which OP later confirms is a propane torch, on the kitchen table the day he came in. My husband had killed a spider outside with it. I'm concerned for this little boy's safety, but at the same time I do not want to be responsible or liable if anything were to happen to him on our property. I also want to feel safe in my own home. I don't feel like I should have to keep my dogs in a kennel all day and close their doggy door just because this kid is out there who is not monitored and has never been taught to respect people's privacy. If he snuck out through his window, I'm sure he could sneak in through one as well. There are so many what ifs in this situation, and maybe it's just my anxiety, but I'm definitely upset. I guess this is more of a rant, and I just hope this doesn't happen again, because I do intend to have the cops on speed dial. But again, am I overreacting? OP also adds a picture of the kid. I won't add it here for obvious reasons. The face is blurred out, but still. But it's literally a tiny little kid crawling through their dog door. It's almost like horror movie level shit. I'd shit my pants. I think you're absolutely right to be calling the cops in this situation. A 5 or 6 year old sneaking out, walking like a third of a mile, unsupervised, multiple times. I sort of wonder what's going on in his home life, you know? And you're right, all sorts of stuff could happen. Your dogs could be let out in the road, your property could be damaged. Imagine if he picked up that propane torch and somehow was able to use it. He could hurt himself, he could damage your property. You know, your privacy is being violated time and time again, and no one just seems to give a shit. The commenter says to OP, okay, I love how people are telling you to spend a lot of money to upgrade your security when this is the parents' problems. Whether he's autistic or not, they're responsible for their kid. I was a teacher for about 10 years and I've dealt with autistic kids. Yes, autistic kids have their deals, but that's not an excuse for the parents to stop parenting. I'll be telling them that I'm really jumpy, and I can't be held responsible for what gets thrown at him when I hear a stranger in my house. Call CPS, call the cops, and tell the parents that they need to upgrade their security to keep him in. And if you pay for new locks/dog door, etc., send them the bill. Opie says that's exactly where I'm at with a lot of these suggestions. Yes, I can invest in more security, special dog collars, doors, fingerprint coded gates. A sprinkler system? That only works with Mrs. Bucket type people, keeping them out your garden. Some people are telling me to get a bigger dog. They're mostly great suggestions and we're definitely going to be taking them into consideration. But why is it my responsibility to keep the kid out of my home when he shouldn't be here in the first place? Shouldn't they be the ones more concerned with his safety and making sure he never makes it all the way here? Commenter says, not overreacting. Call the police and call CPS. Press charges. This isn't safe for the child. Shame on the police for their poor response. Opie says, unfortunately, we could not press charges given it's a kid being a kid and he is underage. The cops also said they could not really call it neglect due to him being fully clothed and appearing well fed. Opie clarifies on the flamethrower I was talking about before and says, I'm so sorry. Lots of people are getting caught up on the flamethrower. That's my bad. We call it that, but it wasn't a flamethrower. It was a propane torch. We have a wood stove and keep one inside to help light it. We just finished cutting hay in the field, and it seems like that has made a lot of spiders come towards the house. My husband used the torch when he saw a huge wolf spider carrying their babies on their back, on the pavement outside our front door. If he would have squished it, they would have all run off everywhere. I personally prefer them out of my house. I understand they are vital. This is not our preferred method of spider killing, and the torch serves a more normal purpose. Either way, it's kept in the house and I would assume is not necessarily a child-friendly device. Additionally, the nearest neighbors are the family of this kid, a third of a mile-ish away. They can't hear my dogs bark. While we're at work, they're inside with AC and lounging around. We know this because we watch them on our cameras all day. One angled at our front door and one at our living room, which we're also able to capture this kid crawling in. Commenter says, did I miss something in OP's post that said the child was on the spectrum? If not, people need to stop speculating, and even if he is, it's the parents' jobs to get the situation under control. My 6-year-old son has autism, and I would never allow a situation where I'm not actively aware of where he is 100% of the time. I'm a single mother and work, plus I'm in school full time and have another child to care for as well. Still wouldn't allow this type of thing to happen. People are also speculating that the parents must be overwhelmed. Would it be stressful for your child to be doing this? Sure, but let's not assume they are overwhelmed and undersupported and lacking resources. It's quite possible they're just bad parents. There are plenty of them out there. Plus, if they are unable to manage the situation for any legitimate reason, then the police probably would have come to that conclusion when speaking with the parents about how this happened, and would have provided them with the appropriate information. If the police didn't get that vibe, then it probably didn't come off that way from the parents. Still, in case it got missed and the parents do need resources for extenuating circumstances, but they are not seeking it on their own, then that's a problem for that child. Whether they're just bad, lazy, inattentive parents or do actually need help, either way you are totally justified in calling CPS as your concern is for the child, and it's a totally valid one. Of course, your concern is also for your safety, your dog's safety, your property, etc., and keeping the child from affecting others' safety is still a valid reason for calling CPS to avoid that. I've dealt with CPS as my psycho ex wanted to get back at me years ago, and called them on me for much less than this. Although nothing came of it because there was nothing actually wrong with my household, I can tell you that CPS is super thorough in coming for a home visit, taking a complete history of the child, medically, emotionally, behaviorally, etc., gathering info on the household situation, what supports the parent/child have, etc. So if there is something lacking there, CPS will find it and offer help. Please call them to protect everyone involved. People call them for a lot less, and this is so justified. OP replies saying thanks for your input. I do have to say it's hard to diagnose someone from just this story, and lots of people are just assuming that's the only reason why he's doing what he's doing. There could be neurodivergence, there could be bad parenting, I'm not sure, but I would say that a responsible thing to do as a parent, if this is a recurring issue, would be to communicate that to us. Let us know what is going on and what they are doing to avoid it. Not wait until they realize he's gone and then contacting us. But I appreciate the insight and advice. Thank you. Commenter says, I'm just thinking, maybe get the kid a dog, if that's the main motivation for his escapism. These parents are trash. My kid never leaves my sight, and we also have a doggy door. When she goes to a neighbor's house, we also have a walkie-talkie. History of bullying, but my kid, even though we're not religious, has always turned the other cheek. Sometimes the neighbor's kid is really nice, other times not so much, so walkie is a safety thing. I'd be super upset, honestly, if a kid was entering my home. A simple knock on the door and "Can I play with your dogs for a little while" goes a long way. OP might even say yes, as it gives the dog some stimulation too. However, permission, aka consent, is required. OP replies saying he has a dog similar to mine. My husband saw it when he went to talk to them. I honestly would rather keep my distance given that he has intruded more than once. Someone says, has the child returned to OP's house for a third time? OP says he was not. But about a week after the incident, in the photo, my husband got a call from his parents, asking if they knew where he was / if he was at the house again. We weren't home but checked the cameras and did not see him. I'm not sure how long he was missing then or where they ended up finding him. The OP comes back in to update the post and says, I was able to look through a lot of comments on this post and was able to respond to some, but I did want to say a few things. I commented on the original post, but I was not able to edit. Thank you to all who have provided helpful advice and suggestions. To those that think this is funny, I really do wish I could have a sense of humor about it, but I'm unfortunately stuck at being frustrated and stressed. And to those who think it was fake, I wish I could make this up. Given this situation has occurred more than once at this point, I do feel like calling the cops was the right call and We will do it if it happens again, or if I even see him on the property unsupervised. I do not want this little boy to get hurt. Go into the property of someone who does not care that it is a child, get run over, etc. A lot of comments made sure to let me know of our liability if something were to happen on our property, and I want to make sure that there is a record of this. I unfortunately did not call the cops when this happened the first time since it was such a random incident. A lot of people suggested he could be autistic or neurodivergent. I understand it could seem that way, but I don't think it's correct to just assume or diagnose him based on a post. Regardless, I think for me it goes back to the parenting. If the parents were aware that his running away, hiding, etc. was a problem, I think the most responsible thing to do would be to let us know and address this, so it did not catch us by surprise. Neurodivergent or not, what he is doing is not okay or safe. We will definitely be putting a lock on our gates, and we'll look into getting our dogs some sort of chip/collar sensor dog door so they can continue to go in and out, but also lock that way in. I really hope the family ups their security in the home as well. Well, these are the only times we've had a problem with their child. We have unfortunately also had issues with their animals coming onto the property. Their horses would break of their enclosure and come onto ours and eat our hay. I get it, they're animals, but from the looks of it, they were very hungry and this happened more than once. The owners never really took any responsibility for it. Secondly, we have recorded incidents of their big dogs coming into our property and attacking our farm animals. They would let their dogs loose and they killed a couple of our chickens and some baby sheep as well. We did contact them on several occasions as soon as we saw the dogs on the cameras, and while they eventually did end up keeping them tied up, the dogs kept getting loose. My husband called the cops to ask what he could do to protect from the dogs, and he was told that since they were on his property, he could shoot if he wanted. My husband and I love and care for our animals and wouldn't ever want something like that to happen to them, so obviously we never did anything to hurt the dogs. It was hard to tell whether they were killing out of hunger because they just weren't fed, or out of instinct. We also just wanted to keep a normal relationship with our neighbors, and harming their animals wouldn't be a good way to do that. It was a very upsetting situation. I'm unfortunately not sure what happened to the dogs. I have not seen them around. A lot of people were surprised by my dogs being so chill about this. I forgot to include a picture, but they are two Maltese/Shih Tzu mixes and one small mutt, potentially Schnauzer. He was a rescue. Overall, small, loving dogs, all bark and no bite, and very excited to play. Therefore, I'm glad they are not a huge concern in terms of causing harm. But one can never be too sure, and like many said, they are animals after all, and can be reactive unexpectedly. There was a comment that said, I'm totally on board with it takes a village, but you can't just draft people into your village without their consent. If this kid had found their way into your life in a way that made you feel less violated, maybe you would have opted to join his village, but he didn't, and that's not your fault, OP. If it's anyone's fault, it's his parents' fault. OP replies saying, and honestly, I really do agree. I've never had this kid or his family over to my house, much less inside. We've had very limited interactions. Most of them have been to address problems caused by their animals, which my husband has mostly dealt with. I'm perfectly fine with having a good relationship with my neighbors, but we truly do all live so spread apart that it's hard to connect with them. Some suggested that I make this kid my friend and have him over, but truthfully, I do not feel comfortable having him come over or doing playdates with my dogs. Maybe if we had a proper introduction, I would have been open to the idea, but at this point, it just makes me feel like the more comfortable he feels to be here, the more he will, and I personally do not want to deal with it. Intruded on our privacy more than once, and I'm not inclined to be more involved with this family than necessary. The flamethrower. My husband was getting so roasted. Get it? Pun? But for this. And I just want to say, no, he is not crazy. That was my bad. We call it a flamethrower. I'm not sure why, because I googled it and those things are intense. It was a propane torch. And then carries on with what we said before about the spiders on the back and killing it, and they don't usually kill the spiders in that way, etc. Commenter says to OP, given how dangerous the dog seems to be, you may have to take a little more action on that front. Animal control will not catch them and deal anything with them. You may have to do so yourself. It's only a matter of time before those dogs unfortunately attack a small child. Nobody wants that at all. At minimum, you need to protect your animals from them, however you can. OP says I will definitely keep that in mind. Like I mentioned, I have not seen the dogs around for quite a bit now. When my husband went to speak to the parents after the latest incident, he did see a small white dog, similar to the ones we have, but as far as I know, he has not made it to our property. Commenter says, As an attorney, a parent, and a fellow animal lover, this is a disaster in slow motion. These people are completely irresponsible parents and animal owners. I wish there was some way to hold them accountable, but short of investing significant funds to secure your property via tall fences and locking gates, I don't think it will stop. And one more commenter says, thanks for the update. Good luck. I wouldn't want to befriend that family either. Good fences make good neighbors. I grew up on 200 acres. Wild horses and cattle tore down our fences many times. Electrifying the fence helped and is legal. A lot of people did not like my suggestion, but when you grow up on a farm with livestock, you have a lot of responsibility keeping them safe. Not only do you have to worry about predators and strays attacking your livestock, you literally have a kid breaking into your house. He's breaking and entering into a private property is a crime. Regardless if he has disabilities, his parents must do better. His parents should be held accountable. If you have evidence that he's done this in the past, you can still file a police report, just to put it on record. Says my sister is with SO and has said it doesn't matter if a lot of time has passed, you can still go file a report. Paper trails help should anything else happen in the future. For all you know, the kid could feed your dog something that is toxic for them. Ignore the haters, take care of you and your property. I find that just a horrifying situation, like that the animal was killing livestock as well. Would the police seriously do nothing about that? It just sounds like the family has zero concept of any boundaries or responsibility whatsoever. And I wouldn't feel guilty about keep calling the cops time and time again because, I mean, what's the alternative here? It just feels like it's waiting for someone or something really bad to happen. But what do you guys make of this situation? What would you do if it was you in OP's position? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.